Hi, I'm Tim Ard, and welcome to this edition of Along the Forest Apps Road. We have a special one for you today. We're going to be chatting with David Breeden. David is the North Georgia representative for Husqvarna Power Products. And please don't forget to subscribe and press that like button. Along the Forest Apps Road is available on podcast as well as here on YouTube. So please check into that, tell your friends and neighbors. And I hope you enjoy this episode with David Breeden of Husqvarna. A little bit from the past, I had to pull out my old shirt and it's kind of wrinkled up a little bit, but very privileged to be here with an amazing guy, David Breeden with Husqvarna. He's the, the North Georgia representative.
Correct. I go up to the Tennessee line on the west side of the state. I go all the way down to go to Columbus, and I go down in the center of the state down to Perry. Over east, I go up to Madison, Athens, up to Toccoa. So I don't have the entire state. It's mostly a focus on Metro Atlanta, but the metros are Atlanta and Macon essentially, and Columbus. So, yep.
Very good. So you are more or less dealing direct with the dealers, and then also with some larger end user clients, right, for the dealers?
Yeah, so my focus is developing our independent dealer base, only in the metro areas, but also have a responsibility to meet and educate, create relationships with professional tree care and professional landscape maintenance contractors. So
awesome. We
have a focus in our company. We call it Tree Care Pro, and we call it, professional landscape group. So all of the people in my role are focused on creating relationships, educating, training those people on our products.
But ultimate environment's going to be battery, isn't it?
Yeah, it's been probably 5 years ago now. We had a product manager headed the professional chainsaw side of the business. He's back in Sweden now, but he was telling me that we had already developed 70 and 80 cc equivalent battery chainsaws. Wow. And at the time, 372 was our 70 cc platform that's legendary. Some of the engineers would ask him to come out, meet them out at the wood pile, so to speak. He said they had saws that were 70 cc equivalent that would cut twice as fast as a 372. Mm-hmm. The challenge was for the battery technology to catch up with that, so you had enough battery life to actually use the tool. So that stuff is coming. We are, as a company, we care about the environment. We care about the people who use the product. We care about the people who are around the product, and battery product offers a lot of benefits for all of those people.
Well, I guess for years everybody thought about it, and I talk about this quite often when people bring up about battery units, and it's something that we used to think about. Everybody wanted a corded drill, and the batteries hard to keep up with. But that's not true anymore, is it? I mean, the batteries are almost computers. They basically keep up with their charging and their rundown and all that kind of stuff. And I know I have a Tesla car, so it's something where the power and everything is unbelievable. It's quieter, easy to adjust and to work with. Quite a lot of reliability that's built into the battery units now. And you've got all the safety features. I have seen, and I've had some questions with different people as far as some of the features on some of the not professionally built battery units, and that they're getting away from some of the standard safety features and things like that, like chain brakes and throttle interlocks and chain catches and that kind of stuff. There's no chain brake on there. There's no handguard on a lot of them. Mm-hmm. And so they're trying to get around some of the actual user-friendly safety features. And to me, that's kind of scary in my training side. I was watching a video, with little handheld pruning saw with somebody standing here going like this on a 4x4 on a presentation. And, it's something that's kind of scary. But Husqvarna has the same features on here that they have on that new 592.
Correct.
So you're looking at the throttle and locks. You got a couple different modes as far as your power on the saw. So you could actually cut down at your full throttle run, or you can have a little bit higher chain speed. Batteries are very easy. You can be able to check here to see, exactly how much battery you've got. And this one's ready to go.
This one's ready.
That's full charge. And about how long are these things running now on a full charge?
That's the most common question you get with battery. And I go back to my days, when I worked for a guy named Tim Ard, and when you ask a question that is very difficult to answer, I usually say, can a 300-pound bear climb a 3-inch pole? Yeah. And people don't understand, just like your people don't. But no, it's a great question. What I find is that a battery lasts about as long as a tank of fuel in a gas-powered saw. We'll say we measure cut times, and it's usually 30 to 40 minutes.
That's what I get, about 35 to 40 minutes on most units.
So the battery will charge to 100% capacity in about 25 minutes. So that easily tells me that if I've got 2 batteries, then I'm never going to have to stop, working. So we with quick chargers and with an onboard cooling system in the battery, the neat things about these batteries are once that battery is completely discharged, which is as hot as the battery is going to get, you can put it on our charger and it'll immediately start charging, so it doesn't have to cool down before you start charging the battery.
That's an important feature.
Yes, it is.
Very important feature.
Yes, it is.
More or less, you've got the ability to watch this too. I mean, so it's about every 10 minutes, something like that, is going to be your battery usage goes down. So if you've got 2 batteries, like you say, you're pretty much set to go. Yeah. And how about your oil consumption? Is it adjustable on this one?
It is, yes. It
so
sure
you've got your bar adjustment
right here from the top.
So many times people say, I want about a tank of oil, but it's I know with today's bars and you keep a good sharp chain, you might be able to go through a couple batteries if you adjust that oiler down some just to reduce that oil consumption.
Correct. The other thing about battery indicator is that you also have access to that right on the handle. Wow. So the operator is able to look at the battery life, where it's easy to see it while they're using the saw. So what's very interesting about this product, I think, makes it unique is that battery chainsaws in a traditional chainsaw where you have a standard forward and rear handle, when we come out with units that are extremely powerful, there's going to be a need for that. But today, as we see it in a top handle version, which is specific for urban tree care, pruning and doing removals, this I feel is one of the most unique products because I don't believe this is theory by David. I think this could be proven. To build a gas-powered top-handle chainsaw is probably the most difficult chainsaw to manufacture. You've got a lot of factors there that you need to think about. You got to have power, and you got to have low weight, and you've got to have balance. And so you cannot put more displacement. You can't just increase the displacement to get more power because you add weight and you take away some of that balance. So normally we bill as 40cc equivalent, but I can promise you I've never seen a 40cc chainsaw that generates this type of chain speed.
Yeah.
Yes.
So chain speed.
It will outcut a 40cc chainsaw. And when I first saw this saw and I used it, I was upset that we didn't say it had 50cc power. I don't know that anybody will ever build a top handle in gas that will outperform this. So as we sit today, this chainsaw is creating more power. Limb that you need to prune, that could be 5 minutes, could be 10 minutes. Regardless, you're not going to let that chainsaw idle on your belt. You're going to turn that off. You're having to pull and crank a saw again. one of the most frustrating things, regardless of brands, is a saw that's difficult to crank up in a tree. Mm-hmm. And so what's nice about this saw is that if you're using this, okay, and I can tell the saw is on, I disengage the chain brake and I make a cut. If I engage the chain brake again, which I should, and I hang this back on my saddle, the saw is going to stay on for 30 minutes. So I don't have to actually push the button to start. So I don't have to restart it when I reposition myself. Now, if I fail to engage the chain brake, then it's only going to stay on for 3 minutes. So it's got additional safety features built in. It says, hey, when you get through cutting, put my chain brake back on, hang it up, go up, and then I'll be ready for you when you get to the next stop. So lots of technology here and power that is unbelievable.
Now, one thing I'm always asked too with climbing or bucket saws like this is are they designed for use in one hand? And I've been amazed at the ergonomics set up on this particular saw. You've got a lot of people that extend reach and all this kind of stuff, trying to reach different things. But with today's climbing gear and bucket abilities, you should be able to maneuver to where you can get to most of those cuts. What I've noticed on this is when you've got your hand on the throttle grip and you've got your hand on the loop grip, you've got equal load on your hands, and it doesn't really increase your movement as long as if you're tied in. It doesn't really increase your movement ability or your length. You can't reach any farther with the saw one-handed because your body doesn't move out of that position. But if you are free climbing, I guess, and you're kind of balancing yourself for certain situations, I could see where somebody might add a little reach to it. But you increase, because it is a chainsaw, you increase your chances of reactive forces, push or a pull that causes you to lose control, and it grabs a limb or it comes back at you very quickly or pushes a limb back at you. And so it's so important that you think about your position there.
Yeah, there's a lot of things going on when there's a lot of things to think about when you're operating a chainsaw on the ground, but when you get aloft, there are a lot of other things going on, and the last thing you need to do is open yourself up for any more risk or danger by operating a chainsaw one-handed. The Husqvarna as a company, we design products with safety in mind, and we certainly don't endorse or condone one-handed operation of a chainsaw. That basically is used for one hand to cut things. Promotes you putting your other hand right beside where the chain is turning, not make chainsaws with two handles.
All right. The reactive forces, we've got to start really looking at making sure we understand how all those safety features work. And there's also a thing that people have asked me about with electric saws and leg protection. And I know in my testing and finds over the years, when the big saws had big armatures and you plugged them into the wall, they were mostly industrial units used in either wood mill situations or some type of industrial cutting condition indoors, you couldn't slow one of those big armatures down. But as far as battery, from what I understand with the research, so in this case here, you've got an electronic system that when you get so much resistance on the chain, when it pinches or it hits something, it starts to bind, it gives up.
Yeah, I can't, tell you, technically how all of that works, but we do, say that when you wear our chaps with our battery powered chainsaws, that is adequate leg protection. The motor will actually lose power. It'll stop, so you can do that in a cut. If you try to overpower the chainsaw,
right.
The motor will lose power, so chain literally stops turning. So anytime anything is jammed up or there's enough resistance on the chain, the chain will stop.
And I've tried 2 or 3 different saws at different power companies and stuff. We've done it on different classes, and so that's not a very scientific test, but it is one that's kind of real life. I'm pleased that guys getting into the battery stuff really don't have too much to worry about, other than the same thing they would with a gasoline saw: keep it away from body parts.
And they'd like to see some data, and there's not much out there, but people, I think, can have peace of mind knowing that you should be okay, and it doesn't take away the obligation to have your people trained, because that, at the end of the day, is the most powerful thing you can do.